Hello, I'm Graham Fitch, coming to you from Steinway Hall in the centre of London, and I'm here for Pianist Magazine talking about weak fingers. Of course, if you think about the hand, we've got the strong fingers on the insides, the thumb and the second finger and the third finger. Yes, they are stronger than the fourth and fifth finger, but it doesn't mean to say that there's anything wrong with that situation. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how we can make the pinky and the fourth finger actually feel really good and strong without doing exercises to supposedly strengthen them. I'm not a great believer in these exercises that's supposed to strengthen fingers, because actually our fingers are strong enough already to play the piano. What we need to do is to remember a few key points about alignment and rotation and arm involvement. Rather like if you think about running. We don't run with our feet only, do we? So we run with our body, and the feet happen to be on the end of the body, the contact of the body with the floor. And it would be ludicrous to do exercises to strengthen the foot in order to run. But a lot of pianists think, oh, I need to strengthen my fourth and my fifth finger, and they sit there for hours doing exercises that are actually going to make it worse, certainly won't improve it. Now, here's an exercise that you're going to find, this type of exercise you'll find in any book of technical exercises. This happens to come from Jeffrey Tankard and Eric Harrison's book, Piano Technique on an Hour a Day. First of all, that's much too long. I wouldn't do an hour a day. And I'm not saying there isn't value in these exercises, but let's look at it. I'll show you right hand. And then down, the similar. But if you can see really closely what I'm doing, you will discover that I'm doing two things. One is I'm aligned on my third and my fourth and my fifth finger. My arm is behind those three fingers, as opposed to this sort of position, which is a thumb alignment. So we want alignment on the third and the fourth and the fifth finger. Now, another thing I'm doing, which to me is second nature, is to rotate into the key rather than lift my finger from here. So I'm avoiding lifting my finger from the main knuckle, and instead I think you'd agree that's very strong and pretty fast. What I've got going in there is absolutely zero effort, zero tension in my arm, and my thumb is extremely free and loose. And I'm using rotary movements, fast, kind of turbocharged, together with an aligned position. And that's how it feels really easy. Let me show you the second of the Tankard exercises. You'll see the rotations a bit clearer. So if you practice the exercises like that, they're fine. You could even use that as a thumb exercise. If you should find that your thumb is tightening up in normal playing, regular playing, take an exercise that avoids the thumb and think only about the thumb. See what I'm getting at here? My whole attention is on the thumb, keeping it free and loose, rather than on the fingers that are playing. But you'll see there the rotary movements and my alignment. So if you practice them sensibly like that, they can be useful. If you practice them like this, which a lot of people do you see how I'm aligned over my thumb there? And of course these fingers are going to feel weak. Try something. Just put your arm and your hand in one straight line and move your fingers up and down from the main knuckle. Easy and free. Now twist your hand around and do it. You'll find that that's really tight. Try something else. Close the hand up and extend the fourth finger, or try to extend the fourth finger. You won't get it any further than that. And there's nothing wrong with your fourth finger. This is how fourth fingers are designed by Mother Nature. This finger shares a tendon with the fifth finger, and there's no way that we're going to be able to do anything about that, and neither should we try. Okay, so let's look a little bit into the history of piano playing, and we look back to very illustrious piano educators from the 19th century, early 20th century, who had us do exercises like this. So we put all the fingers on the key and we lifted up the pinky by itself. Now, I would absolutely not recommend exercises that do that because it's unnatural to our body. Our body does not work that way. What I notice when I'm operating my fingers is the fingers tend to want to come up together as one unit, and the thumb is its own thing. So I would not want to isolate my fourth finger or my fifth finger or any other finger come to that. Neither would I want to lift it up high and bring it down in an attempt to make it stronger. It's not going to make it stronger. It's just going to tighten you up here and make you uncoordinated. So remember, the fingers are already strong enough to play the piano. We don't need strengthening exercises. If I align my arm behind the finger, let me show you some five-finger stuff here. Here's the dreaded Hanon, right? With alignment. So I'm lining up here. When I do my wrist circles, what I'm doing is pulling up on my pinky. Up. Let's come to some real music. And you can see how that works. Up. Up. You'll see two things happening there, I hope. You'll see the wrist circle or the arm circle, where my fifth fingers are aligned on their keys. And instead of going down into the key, I'm thinking up, up. The other thing I'm doing, which is seriously important, and that's the idea that the thumb can come in and join the hand. So I'm avoiding a stretched out position. You can even try this since we're experimenting here. Just spread the fingers out as far as you can, and you will feel that pulls on the tendons underneath here, and it creates tension. So if I'm playing a melodic line that has a stretch in it like this, do you see how I did that? I didn't hold my hand out in the stretch position. I moved from finger to finger, and I'm closed up. So the idea of the closed hand will make your hand in general feel strong. In other words, the weak fingers won't be weak because the arm will be behind them. Now if you're practicing, say, double thirds, this is a really good thing to do for the weak fingers. I've been looking at these in my previous two demonstrations, so I'll just touch on them really quickly. Any exercise that involves double thirds, double notes, go through the keys. Any exercise like that is going to build up or to make the fingers on the outside of the hand feel as strong and as agile as the fingers on the inside of the hand, in other words, the strong fingers. Provided we remember to align and adjust, move. That's aligning and adjusting using the wrist. But there's another way of aligning and adjusting, which is to use the wrist in another way. Up, up. Do you see what's going on there? I've got the feeling of a vibration in my wrist that makes them feel really effortless. It makes them feel really coordinated and not effortful at all. Let's have a look at a couple of, just to end with, I'm going to show you a couple of small studies by Czerny. And this is from the Czerny-Germer selection, 50 short studies selected from opus 139, 261, 599, and 821, beginning with this C major job here, number 1. Now, I'm going to do it in a way that will make me feel like I need to do lots of exercises to strengthen my fourth and fifth fingers, because I'm going to do it in one fixed position. Don't copy this at home. This is a wrong way of doing it. But you'd be surprised how many people do it this way. Now I feel my thumb is absolutely locked. When I get up to there, yes, these feel weak because my arm is not behind them. See what I'm doing there? All I have to do is to move round. Did you notice the mobility up here? So mobility is what we're after. Here's another one, number 3. This is so obviously rotary. So I rotate into my supposedly weak pinky. And the pinky, hey presto, is not weak at all, because it's not the pinky that's playing the key, it's the forearm that's playing the key. See how that works? My 5th finger just has to be there in a good supported position, and it feels just as strong as anything else. So remember, weak fingers are only weak if we're not lining up behind them, if we're not using our arm to assist. So in the words of Leonid Nikolaev, nothing in the finger without the arm, nothing in the arm without the finger. Pretty much sums up piano playing.